Yes, the
Yeah,
floor is
hello
yours.
everyone. Yes, I see the recording is on. Hello everyone. I'm Yana. I'm going to continue the talk of Priyanka about space art. She shared more personal experience. I will share a little bit of personal experience too, but more I will talk about how we perceived space through art, how we represented space, how we continue doing it, and what means space art and why we do this. So I think I need to tell a couple of words about who am I. I am a scientist. So I have my PhD in physics. I did my postdoc at NASA, and I worked all my life in space industry. Actually, saying that is not completely true because space industry started really at NASA, but even at NASA, it was not completely space. It was Earth Science Division. So I studied atmosphere, and I gradually went from ground through airborne instruments to space instruments. So I studied atmosphere with ground-based instruments, and then I did my PhD with airborne instrument, who was used for validation of ground-based instruments and space imagers. And at NASA, I did the same, also airborne instrumentation. But I was always fascinated by art. And meanwhile, I did my bachelor in art history. I got my degree 3 years ago. And this year, I will start a master program in art business, art and culture management. On the top, I have an MBA, so I worked in new space, private companies in Europe after NASA. And I always was hesitating between art and science. And at one time, I was full-time scientist and I forgot the word in English. It's directrice d'opération, chief operating officer at a space startup. And meanwhile, I had an art gallery. I bought an art gallery, and I was an art manager, curator, and even an artist. I did my artworks and I sold my artworks. But for me, it was one world, another world. Then I understood why doing this one or another. Maybe I can do it together. So I started thinking about whatever startup, when you do MBA, you think to create your own startup, etc., etc., etc. Like career in space and art, what can I do? So I need to create some incubator to launch an artist to space or whatever. Very funny, but but to get some credibility, because in space industry, in European space industry, I'm more or less known. People know me, who I am. I have a degree, etc. But in art world, part of my bachelor, I'm not known. So I thought, okay, it's too ambitious. So I just started a blog writing about art history, space represented in art, kind of approaching space tech people, teaching them art through the topics that they understand well, that is space. So starting digging in that, I found a lot of interesting things. Like, this is obvious. We look at stars since forever, etc. But ongoing, there are so many interesting projects, and I started connecting with people. This is fascinating. So I'm just entering this since less than a year, and still a lot of things to learn. And so I have this blog, Space and Frames, that I want to build as a big platform, doing interviews, doing many things. I applied with partners for several grants for that. Still waiting for funds, but we'll see. So I created a foundation that got this very prestigious research and development in humanities code that France, they are very picky. So I'm very proud, but it's just the beginning. So this is what I'm doing. And I would like to talk about this art history a little bit, and and what is happening right now, and discuss art and space. How do you see it? How do you understand it? How we all in the world, in different countries, understand it. So what is, think, if you're there, you can unmute, or you can write in chat, but I don't see the chat. So better you unmute if you have something to say. So what is the first image that comes to mind when you think of space? So probably it could be something like rocket launch. It could be something like a very beautiful astrophotography by different telescopes that we have. Or maybe it could be something like that from science fiction, something like this. I love this island. But actually, we were thinking of space since forever, because we were looking in the sky and we didn't have a lot of light, so we saw a lot of stars and celestial bodies, planets, moon, sun. And space was always there. We were trying to understand what is out there. People could not fly. People wanted to explain somehow what they saw. So they started associate celestial bodies with different gods and powers. And it continued. So that was a stela from second millennia from Mesopotamia. And this is the drawing, the painting from already 16th century. So we thought through millennia about stars and comets and whatever we saw in the sky, and tried to interpret it somehow. Comets were always bringing something, either good or bad, usually bad. And it was always in minds of people. And we created the whole philosophy around, the whole mythology around zodiac, etc., etc. Then, starting from Renaissance, we more or less went towards scientific discovery of the world. And this is very great painting of Johannes Vermeer that I love, like my favorite painter after Rembrandt. So this is an astronomer. We started creating instruments, telescopes, and mapping stars and Earth, of course. And this is also interesting. How, if we think about space, okay, this looks like a space station orbiting Mars, but actually this is an artwork from beginning of 20th century from the Chashnik, the Russian cosmist, who kind of previewed how it could look like. It's still not there, but it is. It's very interesting. It's actually not really representing a space station around Mars or other planet. This is something imaginary, just a geometrical figure, but it looks very familiar to us in 21st century. So yes, we looked at stars. We tried to understand it, to organize it. So we have this in. I just give a little bit of all this art historical view on space art. We can call it space art because yes, this is a space bodies represented in artistic manner, interpreted by an artist, following the current contemporary to the artist view on how the world is organized. So here we have this gods with moon and sun who are somewhere there on the top. Then we have people, and then we have underworld. Yes, and this is the second millennium before current era. And then Egyptians. This one is very nice. It can this stela is very popular in some science fiction because it looks like they are giving some offerings to some um, aliens or whatever. This is something very weird, but no, it's just they're giving offerings to the god of sun. And this is the western part of the world, and in Americas we had also very interesting cultures that were looking in the sky. They did all their buildings. They build their buildings oriented with the sun, and this very very famous pyramid that I have a video here. I hope it will work, the video. So yes, on equinox on 21st of March, this you know it, I believe, but this is amazing that it was built. It was not 2 millennia. It was already between 8th and 12th century, this era. And you see this beautiful snake head. It becomes a snake. So they had a lot of um, buildings that we can consider or not consider as some astro observatories, that there are speculations around that. But it's different culture, not connected to the Western culture, but they were looking out to the stars, and they tried to interpret what they saw, and also depict it in art. And then in classical world and Western classical world, so we have this zodiac that was with us for 3,000 years and continue being very popular even now in 21st century. People still believe in zodiac. That is very funny, but yes. And we have this a very interesting depiction of this through the art history, and it formed the people's mind, because often so there are books. Okay, books are dedicated to those who are literate, who can read, who can afford to having a book. But also zodiac symbols, they were in churches, in mosaics, everywhere. So illiterate people, they also saw it, they also believed in it, and it formed their understanding of the world. So they mixed all religious symbols with cosmic symbols, etc. And in Renaissance, we started understand the world better. So I have this blog where I discuss. This is a kind of screenshots from my blog. So we have this very interesting depictions. You know, this Hans Holbein. This is a skull. So if you look at it from the angle, from really, really bottom of the screen, you can see the skull here. And we started building scientific instruments that became themselves as pieces of art. We don't have to make this feat of an eagle, I believe, for this armillary sphere. It's not needed, but still, it's a scientific instrument. It's very precise, so there is a lot of craftsmanship, and craftsmanship means there is an artist behind, and so it should be beautiful. I am not sure if the same person did the sphere itself and the legs. Probably yes. And so this is at the same time a precise scientific instrument. Oh, it's not scientific instrument, it's just a sphere that shows you. So it's not for observation, it's for calculations. But it is beautiful. And we depicted that. So this sphere is here. Here on the Hans Holbein, we have celestial globe, we have astrolabe, and we have different things that are the signs of intellect, and again Vermeer. So this scientific knowledge became something a part of high society, intellectual society. the art was always a sign of intellectual society, but people wanted to have their portraits with scientific instruments, and so science became part of their image, of their public image. And those instruments are to discover the space. Okay, of course, there were many different other instruments, but all this looking into the stars was very fashionable, let's say, and received very well. Even this Saint Augustine, Augustin in French. So he's a religious person, but looking in the stars, and here we see that it's kind of it starts fusioning. So and I'm passing art history like from 16th century directly to 19th century. So no romanticism here. Then we started seeing space through as more accessible, because we did this first photograph that was of the moon that was in 1840, so really almost 200 years ago. And space became closer, and we started imagining with Jules Verne and his From Earth to the Moon and other novels. So this is a rocket flying to the moon, and it's also middle of 19th century, super long time ago. And it's very interesting to look through art history how we imagine space and interacted with it, let's say. We all know Eiffel Tower, that was Universal Exhibition, etc., etc. We know Eiffel Tower, but not so many people know that there was also a celestial globe near it. It's that huge. That inside there was all exhibition, etc., etc. So it came into our minds in society as something more accessible already more than 100 years ago. And this is again the same picture that I showed. The very interesting stories that I learned at Cosmica Institute that I will talk about later a bit. There was this philosopher in Russia in the end of 19th century whose name was Fedorov. He was like a very poor guy, reading books and staying all the time in the library, dressed very poorly like an asket. And he gave talks and lectures in that library, and people came there to listen to a smart man. And one of his listeners was a very young Konstantin Tsiolkovsky, the father of rocket science, we say. And that Fedorov, he said that we need to resurrect all the death, and we need to, with means of science, we need to stop dying. We need to reach eternity of our lives. So stop dying, and also with means of science, and also to resurrect all the deaths, all dead people from ashes. So there will be no more death in the life, in the life on Earth, and of course Earth will be overpopulated. So what we should do? We should colonize other planets, because there will be so many people. We should colonize other planets. So and there were no planes, even other planets. And Tsiolkovsky was listening to that, and he took it as a call to action. So he created all his formulas about reactive power, etc., dirigeables, etc. But that also, that was a philosophical movement, but that led also to artistic movement. That was Russian Cosmism, and that was one of this is Ilya Chashnik, but it's not necessarily Cosmist, but yes, it's something imagining absolutely something different. I wrote also an article about that. So all this planetary something, cities on other planets, cities on some ships that would float in the atmosphere, and spiritual things, and all mixed with religion as well. So that was other, and it came only from the idea that we will live forever, so we need to colonize other planets, and it led to scientific discovery and artistic discovery at the same time. And not discovery, but artistic development. But then in Soviet Union, that was not easy. They all had repressions, etc., etc. So, but Kandinsky was also one of them. So not Kandinsky is more than just cosmism, but he is. He had some like this painting is really a very much cosmic image. And then we had all this. When we talk about space, if we think about 20th century, space age, space design. Okay, we are not yet in space, but we already think about it. So already Gagarin went to space, so good. We can think that we will go to space, all of us, very soon. So then all this culture came up, and this space design, space age come up. So this is a very, I love it. This is from Space Odyssey 68, right? So this is the interior of a spaceship, and then these two images are from very modern. It's an apartment in, I think, in Vietnam somewhere, and the design, when it's talk about design, it's not necessarily apartment design or design for movies. It's also the design for spaceships. So talking about space, this is a career room, right? So not necessarily if you are fascinated by space, not necessarily you should be an astronaut or engineer or researcher. You can be a designer and design stuff for spaceships, or for future, or an architect, or a designer for fashion design. And that was a fascinating time. So many beautiful things. One of my favorite, I think. The space design that was mentioned in the first part of our conference about the design of spaceships. Okay, so we didn't talk about design at all when we launched people to space. So it was, but in the 5 years already, we went from this seat to having shower in space. So that was a good progress. And now, like in a previous, like this is already a 21st century design. So we are going quite well. And these are designers who are working, not space engineers. They need to just take into account all these considerations about how this spaceship is configured inside, about microgravity, that they need to have some knowledge, etc., etc. But these are designers who are making, more artists that okay, this is not an artist who made, but spaceship interior design. This is an this SpaceX Crew Dragon. This is an artist who made. And now check the time. Coming to back to philosophical questions. I submitted recently 2 talks to conferences saying that artists should be in the teams of any space mission right from the beginning, because I heard that from Michael Mazzucci, an artist from the United States. He said very nice saying that as any good artwork should have a lead scientist in the team, the same any good scientific project should have a lead artist in the team, because he's working in Hollywood and they're doing this all these visuals and for science fiction movies. And of course, as a scientist, sometimes I see the movies and I think, oh my God, this is like facepalm. No, this is terrible. Why do you do this? Like explosion in the space or something like that. So it's scientifically incorrect. and it hurts me a lot. And I, as a scientist, I really think like, okay, you have a 200 million budget, you must assign $10,000 and you can hire a consultant who will explain you that this is scientifically incorrect and should be maybe reworked. So this is for movies, for example. But when we do scientific missions, uh, why do we need an artist? Why do we need an artist? Actually, maybe we don't need an artist. Why? We have our mission. We have to measure something. We need to send a person, a man to the moon. Why do we need to send a man to the moon? Why? Why do we do that? Okay, there is a race. There is a race. What is this Cold War? A race, space race. We need to do that. We need to do this. Why we do that? Okay, now we can say in 21st century we need GPS, we need Earth observation, we need I don't know, disaster monitoring. Okay, but why do we study the far galaxies? Why do we want to go to Mars? To colonize, as Fedorov said, because we will resurrect all dead people. So that is the question that actually needs the involvement of artistic mind to try to interpret our deep desires. It's philosophical question, right? And talking about that, we should talk about NASA, because NASA, for me, is not just a space agency; it's a cultural concept. Because, for example, NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory was created not just by scientists; it was Frank Malina, who was also an artist, and this artistic side is in NASA DNA. It's not about communication and outreach to say to taxpayers that we spend the money in the right way. No, it's trying to discover, to understand the world by means of science, but with the artistic, also artistic vision inside. So NASA art program is a very good manifestation of that. So NASA just invited artists that were really famous artists. They gave them a little bit of money, and they invited them into the launch pads. They had access everywhere. They could talk with astronauts. They could see the engineers working, and they were documenting what was happening. But so there are these pictures documenting that was happening. This Norman Rockwell painting, actually, that was painted way before Apollo mission landed to the moon. It looks like a photograph, but it's a painting that was made before the actual mission. So, I have something in the chat. Okay, and so this looks like documenting, and but it is still quite artistic. And this, like, I like it very much. This is a poster visual for Odyssey 2001. So this is Robert McCall, who did one of NASA art program artists. But then there were other artworks, more artistic, let's say. I really recommend, if you find this book, to buy it, because there you can find much more artworks that you cannot find online, because still it's still a bit of a lack of communication, let's say. So and like Robert Rauschenberg, it's NASA art program. So there is something about like the launch pad here, there, something rocket, etc., etc. So they digested it, how it was, and then created their artworks. And this is like a monumental, looks like a huge mosaics on the building, like a superhero, the astronaut, so it was presented to the public, and the public was, of course, like, space is sexy. Everyone wanted to become an astronaut. Me personally, I never wanted to become an astronaut, never wanted to go to space. I wanted to be a ballet dancer. Well, I'm closer to space than to ballet. So yeah, so this is this NASA art program is something that fascinated minds, and every boy in the United States wanted to become an astronaut. Every boy in the Soviet Union wanted to become an astronaut, and but then it declined a little bit because of the budget cuts, etc. But in Europe, somehow we didn't have so much of good communication about that, and I think we need to have an artist in the teams and budget allocated to that. Yeah, so this is also very funny. So we launch art to orbit. So the very first official artwork that went with Voyager, but before that, there was this moon museum sent illegally, let's say, by Warhol, Rauschenberg, etc. And it's very funny. Like we send the dick pic to the moon because this is Warhol. We can say this is the letter A, like Andy, or this is a rocket. Okay, or maybe something else. So yeah, this is very funny, a nice statement. Okay, we launch art to the moon. Why do we launch art to the moon? Why do we want to launch art to the moon, or to space, or somewhere far away? Why? Why do we do that? Okay, we want to discover this and that, but with the discovery, why do we want to launch art? That some aliens will see that, or what? Like, there are many answers. So if if you want to, I will back to that one. Recently, 2 years ago, with intuitive machines, Jeff Koons sent his what's called moon phases. Why it is the most famous and the richest, the most expensive artist nowadays living now? What is that? Publicity or statement or what? Why? So it's here. It's just over there. So here, okay. This fell down. The whole thing is on the side, but okay. The art of Jeff Koons is on the. Why do we do that? And this was shown by Priyanka right now. So she's one of artists there. So her artwork was there, and yes, there. And I am one of authors of this little book that will go to the moon in the end of this year. And right now I have the celebration here. There is a boy of my partner who turned 18, and I offered him as a present the little kit that he can take his DNA and send back with life ship, and it will go to the moon. And it costs like $100-something. Why? What is that? So why do we do that? Why do we want our DNA to be to the moon, or the DNA of someone important, or my text to the moon, or artwork of Priyanka to the in a space station or in the moon with life ship also? Why we do that? So this is a very oh, actually I wanted to ask this question right now. So if you have some thoughts, please share. Okay. So this is, I drink a sip. This is a good question that everyone can answer differently. Yeah, Ira, you wanted to say something?
Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So for me, I feel like art is one of the mediums that is that connects with humans or any of the species. So it has a lot of emotion to it. It has a lot of imagination. It gives a lot of meaning. So whenever we want to portray something, art is one of the means that really has meaning to it, meaning behind it. So I think if we want to connect with something, if we want to represent something, art is one of the best mediums we can do so. And there has been a lot of instances where launching into space, I think most of the projects, I'm not really sure of the names, but they've used mediums like music and lots of pictures to send history of art to space. So maybe just portray how human culture have evolved over time and just to send a part of humanity to space. So I think that is one of a key aspect why we launch art to space. That is what I've understood up to now. But yeah, open to discussions, and I would also love if any other participant would add on to this or bring a new insight. That would be lovely.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it's exactly that. It gives a new dimension, and it's like when we lived in a very small area, we went somewhere. Oh, this is a hill that we want to live. What we do? We put a temple there, like Greeks. A temple. What is temple? It's an artwork. It's something very beautiful. It's not just a stone. It's a meaning. It's a symbol. It's a statement. We are here. This is ours, and this is similar. So when we launch a spaceship, well, it's ours. We made it, right? But if it's an artwork, it doesn't have much of meaning. Temple doesn't have much of meaning. Okay, we have gods here, yeah, but it doesn't serve too much. It's not a bath. It's not a house. We don't live there. We don't cook there. We don't sleep there. I don't know. We don't. Yeah, it's something that is it's just a statement because we create. So we live to create and discover. And the science is one of ways to discover, and art is another way. It's You need to be an artist to understand um, how much of discovery and curiosity, discovery spirit an artist should have to create something really new and beautiful. It's not easy to see with contemporary art if you don't are not engaged too much. But without this spirit, that is for me similar to scientific spirit, an artist cannot be a good artist. And this together goes very well. And this is very nice image of this Tesla roster of Elon Musk that he launched to space. Like, that was a statement, but this is an artwork. It's an artwork. It's not. It's ready made, so it's not something that was he didn't create this. It's but it's an artwork. Uh, I find it quite beautiful with any not touching the political aspect of what is happening right now, but this is an artwork. Yeah, so I want to come back just for information because there are so many interesting projects going on. I personally engaged with Moon Gallery, and this just started to be engaged with this Seeds Space Ecologists Art and Design. They have very nice community. They do a lot of calls so that you can join and lectures and in discussions. Many people come, like 30, 40, 50 people, and it's open discussion, and people are very, high level, intelligent, very interesting. Even if you don't say a word, it's very interesting to listen to this community calls. And another that I just this Cosmica with Naum artist, Mexican, living in Berlin, and has since quite many years this Cosmica Institute that does interesting educational events also about art, but it's very artistic. If we're talking of seeds, is mixed, but that is very artistic. So you need to understand it, and he collaborated with different space agencies, with even Roscosmos back to in time. Yeah, so I really recommend to check them out. Very interesting things happening there. And yeah, I wanted to talk. I see you're like tired. You're waiting for lunch or what? So I wanted to continue discussing about how a non-scientist or not engineer can contribute to space industry. could you imagine a job that real or imaginary that can have a non-tech person, a professional in 25 years from now? What do you think could be possible in the near future? Okay, good morning. Is there anyone?
Okay, so does anyone else have anything to contribute? I think we could have a discussion. These are like really interesting questions, and we could like make the most out of it. So I would love if we would be more interactive. I think for me, there is a lot of things that comes into my mind with this question. There's a lot of things that I think the space industry is really evolving on. Like we've discussed most of the art and heritage, storytelling, archives. It's a different topic in its own, and I think there's a lot of potential in that. One other key non-technical space career that I think could be evolved in maybe 2050 is maybe branding, PR, or outreach for space tourism. So maybe that would be one of maybe I think because space tourism is really getting in the front right now, and there's been a lot of advancements recently. So I think maybe in the next 20 years, 25 years, such I don't know, space tourism companies maybe more on rise, and branding and PR would be more on the forefront. But at the same time, there could be a lot of non-technical things that maybe would be related to managing all the art exhibits, heritage archives of different bases, or stuff from Moon or Mars. That would be really interesting to be a part of. But yeah, that's some things that comes to my mind. If anyone else has anything in their head, then maybe just shoot out and let us know what you think of this brilliant question. Anyone else?
Well, eventually, won't all the jobs be non-technical?
Oh, you are muted again. You are muted and muted.
Yeah, so like eventually everything will just be automated. So by 2050, like we hope that it would be all just implementation and
Automated.
monitoring.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
That's a
everything
great
will be
perspective.
automated. Yeah, that is very nice actually. Yeah, thank you too for what you have said. Yeah, all this space tourism and many things. This is true. About automated, I have a comment. We dreamt that it was my professor who told, like, we dreamt that in the future all machines will do all our work, like clean our toilets, and we will do creative things like write poetry. That right now machines are writing poetry and we are still cleaning toilets. So that brings a little bit of like bringing back to the ground. And yeah, in 60s we were thinking that okay, and our kids would go to the moon as we go for Hawaii, and but no, still space tourism becomes more accessible, but still for very limited number of people. So automated, well, I really hope so. So but still people will have to do something. So if people don't have anything to do boring, that means they will do something creative. If they don't do anything creative, so why do we leave them? um so this we're coming back to these philosophical questions, all these utopian writers who, especially in Soviet Union, like a person will not have to work at all, any physical work, and we will have all our time for research, for science and creativity, for music, for visual arts, for poetry. for sport, and for science, whatever science. So this is my dream for the humanity, but I hope to see it while I'm still there, but it doesn't seem so. And okay, does anyone want to say something about that? About near future of space industry for non-engineers? Okay, so that will be my last slide. Yesterday, there was this very nice article in The Guardian of this artist. She's French. And she, in this article, she criticizes a lot. She says space is queer, space travel is queer. So she doesn't like the current machism, let's say, of space industry that manifested by SpaceX and Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, that we just saw a little bit in the beginning, and insists on that it's elitist and it should be more accessible to everyone. And well, I kind of like it because actually when we had only 5 computers in the world, nobody thought about having computers, nobody discussed even that. They were computers to do something for military. We didn't know that. Then it started coming to life, and now everyone has a laptop. You have a computer, you don't need a laptop, everything is on the phone, always connectivity. If there is no connectivity, we are not good. And but 50 years ago, there was no computers in families, and nobody discussed that computers or internet. Didn't know. And we started discussing what should be in the internet, how we should protect our kids, what the information should be there, should it be open or closed, or protected or paid or free or whatever. Not so long time ago, now we don't discuss that as much. And now we started discussing the same topics about space. That means it really enters every part, every field, every domain of our lives. Yeah, of course, we have GPS, we have space TV, satellite TV since many years. We have this, we have that, we have weather forecast, we have many things. But discussing, we are not going to space, but we already discussed all the concepts of that, of this colonial, that we behave like colonial ages back 400 years ago, 500 years ago. We compare our space colonization. Again, the word colonization comes very well. The space colonization, we compare to what Western people did with Americas and Africa and other parts of the world. So that is interesting discussion. Of course, it's not the same, but it's an interesting discussion. Then we say about okay, transgender. Why do we care about transgender? Talking about space exploration, and we care because this is the agenda of today on Earth. And this, I was discussing with someone saying, well, you know, there are so many people about this space. They do meditation before some talks, like meditation before what. Say what's wrong? Why not meditation? But I am not meditating. But I think if people like that come to space industries, they bring something new. The same as artists bring. This is our world now. So we live in this world. We cannot avoid launches of rockets. Maybe we will have Kessler effect. We will populate and the low orbit, and then it will be done for many years. But we cannot avoid it. This is a normal way of evolution of humanity. So we already conquered the Earth. Now we are going up. Then we will go further. Then we will go further. And of course, we will discuss the ethical implications of that. all what is related to current agendas on Earth, looking from upside down, having overview effect. Yes, yes. But when this is important for person who saw it, most of people will never see it. But we have this overview effect in some sort, discussing all this being on Earth. Because talking about space exploration, we look at Earth already from a little bit far. And this is actually, I read it diagonally, I didn't have time, but these discussions should be ongoing. And as many points of view we have, as many reasons we can bring to this discussion, the better will be the future, I think. So pluralism is very important in here. Yeah. So I think I'm done with what I wanted to say, and probably I wanted to say something else, but I forgot. So we have a little bit of time. So if you have something to say or ask a question, any question, I'm ready to answer.
In the chat, I'm not sure if these are just comments or questions, but we have one from Farooq Abbas Hashmi.
Yes.
He says different space tools to equip astronauts are specially manufactured, especially before going to space. We dressed and need no worry again to change in space. I believe this is one of the comments, probably. And further, he's also stated that becoming astronaut and traveling to space needs trillions of
Very
cost.
expensive, yeah.
How can a man travel to space without state sponsorship? That is a big question. And another question.
If they have money, they can travel with their own money, you know. But Space for
Yeah.
Humanity, they collect sponsorship money to
Right.
launch a person to because it costs $500,000. It's not as much for rich people, you know. Like an average French retired person can sell his or her house and go to Blue Origin flight. So it becomes more accessible, but not for everyone, just for average French retired. Yeah. Training, but not for. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, of course. I am Russian. I don't think you know that any average Russian can go to space. You know, and it's but this is exactly what happened through the history. Everyone can take a plane right now, right? They are low cost, that cost you can fly from one city to another in Europe for 10 euros. Okay, 50 euros almost everywhere if you buy in advance. Everyone can afford it in Europe. 100 years ago, it was not the case. So it is possible that we can witness much more of space travels. And that was a very nice comment in the beginning that the Federation of Astronautics said since 2021 doesn't say that should not call astronaut people from commercial flights, because astronaut is someone who was trained for many years, who goes there for a long period, who does scientific experiments, etc. That was the goal. So you go, you do your work. It's like to be at the forefront in the army. It's very dangerous, etc. And space tourists, they come there for 5 minutes and then they come back. Okay, and then they say, "Oh, I was amazed." Of course, you were amazed. Everyone would be amazed, but it's a bit different from being astronaut. So yeah, I agree. Well, in Pakistan, it's not the case, but in Pakistan there are planes, right? So there will be rockets as well. So, but maybe in 100 years, maybe in 50. Yeah, space tourism is different from being astronaut. That is very true. Yes. Any more questions? Or we wrap up?
Questions or comments from anyone? I personally loved the presentation. Thank you so much, Yana. It was very insightful. I personally learned a lot of things, so that was quite insightful for me. If we have any comments or just any questions, we can still have one question or a few comments. So I really encourage you to turn on your mics, raise your hand, or just write it in the chat, whatever you thought about the presentation, the session, or any questions that you might have, anything in general. Does anyone have anything?
Yes, good morning from Hawaii. I really enjoyed your talk. It was really fascinating to listen about philosophy, history, and technology, you know. So what are your current projects you're working on? Just curious to
Yeah,
know.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So current project. So I quit my recent job, so to be purely a consultant, business consultant for startups in space, little startups, but not necessarily in space. But then I'm having this. I launched this association, an NGO, and currently I'm preparing several projects and consulting for art projects as a scientist again, always. So I'm engaged in, I don't know, so many projects at a time, and I'm really. If you heard Priyanka, she's full-time scientist and she does an artistic project on the side. And I am cutting my consultant job because I don't have time for my artistic part. So I'm trying to do this outreach and talks about arts engaged, embedded with scientific projects. That is not easy to push, like to lobby it in European ecosystem. And I'm partnering with Moon Gallery on future projects and like also outreach. And I have a couple of projects on quantum art in the United States that I don't know it. It will be I hope it will work, but it needs a lot of funding. But getting funds for such type of projects is not easy, especially in the United States. So it's kind of that, and running in many directions at a time. And I'm starting my a new education from September, so that will take half of my time probably. Yeah, so like that. Yeah, and I'm building a startup in AI prediction for different things. So this takes 1/3 of my time. So you try to survive with things that fascinates you, and then get these funds and finance the things that fascinate you more. This is my current life.
An amazing way to end your session. Love the last line. We have a hand raised by Farooq Abbas. Let's just take one more comment and then we'll wrap up for the day. The floor is all yours. You can just unmute and speak whenever you're ready.
Very thank you, ma'am. It's very informative information about the space technology and coming futures when you are elaborating 2050 when we are traveling to space. But the facilitations we require a special institutions, special educational institutes who can manage and who can educate the young generation towards the coming challenges of space technology and space. This is one of the most expensive tool or expensive profession or education department where you have to expend millions of dollars to evaluate this. This is not easy in the countries where there is a lot of thirst for the people to get educated, to go to schools, to colleges, to universities, especially in the third world countries, especially in Asian countries, which just requires to elaborate the things which is most necessary for the coming, for the peoples and the peoples of the world. So that's I appreciate and I acknowledge all the efforts made by the summit, and all the speakers are doing good, and they are especially evaluating the right place and right choices for coming futures and for the young generation as well. I also appreciate and thanks for your comments and for your guidance as well. Thanks again, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a very nice comment. Thanks a lot. And yeah, this event is one of these great opportunities to learn more from different people, their life stories, that not necessarily very easy, and how we came to the space industry. Yeah, it's you don't have to go to space university to get a degree in space engineering. So I studied physics and I had my free education because I went to university in Belarus and it was free. So I'm from very modest families, so I went to university. I got my master, and then I went to do PhD in France. But I went there because it's not because my parents were rich. It was because my laboratory where I went after the university, they had the connections with France. And so I went to France and I got my fellowship. And through that, so okay, but I studied physics, the physics of the atmosphere, so nothing to do with space. But then you can study atmosphere from space as well. That is that is what I wanted to say, that we don't need to be to go, because in France, for example, there are several universities that has the word space in the name. And there are very famous, like International Space University, etc., with master program that cost a lot, that usual person cannot afford. This is sometimes it's a chance, sometimes is destiny. I don't know, but space coming to every domain of our lives. If you could study communications, and then you do space communication. You can study, if we talk about engineering, even studying just mathematics, mathematics is absolutely universal. You can be an astrophysicist, you can be an engineer, you can be you can do whatever, and not easy to be a poet and then do something with space. But at the same time, I just wrote a piece of text, and this little piece of text will fly to the moon. So this is it's not an ecosystem. This is everywhere. Space is everywhere. So if really you want to do something, but you just need to see what you are good at, what you want to do. You can just be a physicist, just a physicist. A physicist is great, and just process the satellite data. That could be quite boring. That is what I I was doing. But this is space industry. So many things, and access to the education is very important. That is very true. And I was lucky to be born in Soviet Union when the education was of good quality. And yes, and in France, for example, all universities are free. You don't have to pay anything. You just go, and they accept everyone. And then you need just to learn. And then if you pass your session, that is good. If you don't pass, you go away. But yes, it's not in every country can have this. But this is a long political discussion. Whatever you want to do, you need to have an access to a good education. And space is not necessarily most complicated in this. So, like education in arts, for example, where I was in Belarus, I wanted to study arts, but there was no good school and it was not good level. And like, I had to do physics because, I loved also physics. So I didn't have access to that education. Maybe if I had good school, I would be on the artist. Yeah. Okay, I think here's we are already a little bit out of our time, so we can.
Let's wrap up the session for today. Thank you so much, Yana, for this wonderful
Yeah,
presentation.
there will be a recording, right?
Yes.
For that, and okay. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank you very much for inviting, and I would love to attend other sessions, but it's 8:30 in the evening, and I have 15 people of my family waiting for me for dinner.
Okay, have a
Yeah.
good dinner. Have a good night, Yana. Thank you, everyone, for
Yeah,
joining.
have a
I hope.
great continuation of summit. Happy to be here, and see you soon. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I hope the session was wonderful. We can go back to the main room, and there are a lot of sessions that are going on simultaneously. So please feel free to check them out as well. Thank you so much, and we end this session for now. Thanks a lot. Have a good rest of the session.
Bye bye.